Shabbat Shalom, everyone. As you can see, not everyone has the benefit of being in Wellesley, Massachusetts, right before New Year's Eve. But we get to be here, and we get to sing and bring in Shabbat together. There'll be a melody that is relatively new to our community, and a melody that you know, tried and true. So please join me with whatever voice you have, however you can fill the room. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Try it, fake it till you make it. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. One last time, a melody of Jacob Spike Krause, who will be visiting our community in just 4 short weeks. One more time. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Fill the sound up. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Ya da 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 ya da 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 ya da 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 ya da 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 ya da ya da 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 ya da 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 ya da 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 ya da 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 ya da da da
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Since Rabbi Sapphire is here, that tells me that our Zoom community is with us and that we are all here together in this space, those of us who are on site in Wellesley and those of us joining from many, many different places. Last week, for Shabbat, Cantor Rosenberg and I were in Charleston, South Carolina, and we were visiting one of the oldest synagogues in the United States, which I believe has been around since,
Should have remembered this.
We went to 2. We also went to one in Savannah. Now I'm mixing up, but it was very old, I promise you. And so it was an interesting time to be able to reflect on what it means to be in another space where we feel connected. It's a lot of the same melodies. We ran into people we knew because, of course, this is how it goes, right, with Jewish geography. But also what it means to then be able to come home and to be in our own space. And so it is a pleasure to get to be with all of you here. And so for those of us in the sanctuary, I just want to take a moment to turn and say hello to someone who is sitting near you, or maybe to wave to someone who's across the room, to introduce yourself to someone new, or to catch up for a moment with someone that you know, so that we can bring in some of the warmth of Shabbat together. On Zoom, if you want to find a box, someone that you know, someone that you don't know, and wave to them. They may not know that you are waving to them, and you may not know who's waving to you, but that's part of the fun as well.
Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie.
Wonderful. And let's bring in some of the light and warmth of Shabbat together. So if you're on Zoom, bring your candles close. And here in the sanctuary, I'd love to invite up Bobby Morgenstern to come and light our Shabbat candles with us.
Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen. Let's all join in that blessing together.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu להדליק נר של שבת.
And in our Sidorim, we turn to page 142 as we welcome in the angels of Shabbat to come and bring their presence here amongst us. Page 142 for Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Hashareh, Malachi Elyon. Melech Malachi Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem leshalom, Malachi Hashalom, Malachi Elyon. Melech Malachi Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Barchuni leshalom, Malachi Hashalom, Malachi Elyon. Melech Malachi Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem leshalom, Malachi Hashalom, Malachi Elyon. Melech Malachi Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
We turn back to page 138 for L'Charudi.
Shamor v'zachor b'diburecha, Ishmi'anu el hameyuchar, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, Leshem ultiferet ve'litila lecha
Dodi, Likrat
Kala Penei Shabbat Nekabela Lecha Dodi, Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala Penei Shabbat Nekabela.
Lechuver necha kif mechor, Averacha merosh mikedem, Nesucha soch ma'aseh,
B'shavat tchila lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala nekat kala penei Shabbat nekabelai yalalai lai 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 lai
Face the entrance as we greet the Shabbat presence.
Boi v'shalom ateret bala kam besimcha uvetzola toch emunei am segula boi chala olecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela olecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela penei Shabbat
Thank you, Sarah. We remain standing and we turn to page 150 for the words, 146 for the words of Baruch Hu.
La 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 Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed le'olam va'ed.
You may be seated. We turn to page 150 for the words of Ahavat Olam.
This is a melody that has become near and dear to TBE, as it was near and dear to where I came from before. A melody made famous by the Platt Brothers. I invite you to join us. Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadeta. Ahavat Olam with us. Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadeta. Al ken Adonai Eloheinu b'shoch Beit נשיח בחוקיך, ונשמח בדברי תורתך, ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. אהבת עולם, בית ישראל, עמך אהבת, תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת. An everlasting love, one last time, אהבת עולם, אהבת עולם, בית ישראל, עמך אהבת, תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נהגה יומם ולילה, ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל.
We turn to page 152 and reclaim the Shema together.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Vaed.
The Shema continues on page 154 with the Ve'ahavta. Let's join together. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha uvlechtecha v'derech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. אלוהיכם אמת. Let's turn to page 158 for the Mi Chamocha. This prayer reminds us that sometimes we stand with one foot here and one foot there, ready to march forward into uncharted waters or uncharted territories. And here we are as we enter 2023 in that same position as well. May we go forward with blessing and with joy.
Lai, 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 lai.
Lai,
Lai, lai, lai, lai, lai, lai, lai, lai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Mi chamocha. Mi chamocha. נהדר בקודש, נור התהילות אוסף מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקע ים לפני משה ומרים, זה אלינו ואמרו, זה אלינו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. Yai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, lai 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 lai, yai lai lai, yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai. ונאמר כי בנה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
Amen. Page 160, we ask God to lay us down each night and to shelter us with a sukkah of peace.
And just like the days turn into nights and the nights turn back into days, you'll see that this melody flows one on top of another, and feel free to join any voice that you hear or add another one.
השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים.
השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום,
השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. ושמור צאתנו ובואנו לחיים ושלום מעתה ועד עולם.
השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום,
השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים.
Rabbi Harper told me before services that she used to sing soprano. So the word is out. Yasher koach. So let us turn now to page 164. As we approach the highlights of our service, the Amidah, I ask you to stand, to rise, whether it is in body, in spirit, or in posture. And we prepare ourselves to recite words of gratitude, especially on Shabbat. If you're with us on Zoom, our chat should be open so that you can share your blessings of gratitude with us as well. We think about the blessings that we experienced in this week, and we think about the blessing of Shabbat, the next 26 hours that we have ahead of us. Page 164.
Adonai, sifatai tiftach. Ufi yagir tehilatecha. Adonai, sifatai tiftach. Yagir tehilatecha. Open up our lips that we may praise your name. Open up our hearts that we may feel our pain. Open up our soul and let our love make us whole. And we will praise your name, Adonai. Sifatai tiftach. Yagir tehilatecha. Adonai, sifatai tiftach. Ufi yagir tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avoteinu ve'imoteinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל העליון, גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor leolam Adonai, Mechayeh hakol atah rav lehoshia. Mashiv haruach rid hagashem. Mechalkel chayim bechesed. Mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim, somech noflim berofech olim, umatir asurim, umekayem emunato lishenei afar, michamocha ba'gevurot, umito melach. Melech meimit umechayeh umatzmiach Yeshua v'neheman atah l'chayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh u'kdoshim b'chol yom yehallelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh.
We continue now with our own private prayers and meditations. When you are finished, you may be seated.
We conclude our Amidah on page 178, where we ask for all of the shalom that God can muster. Shalom Rav, the biggest shalom, the biggest peace and wholeness that we can bring down. A melody that is near and dear to me, and I hope to all of you. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום. כי אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov be'einecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael bechol et uvechol sha'a Shlomecha. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam, Tasim Leolam.
And as we ask for God's Shalom Rav, great peace, to descend over all of us, we think especially of those in our lives who are in need of an extra measure of shalom, of shlemut, of wholeness on this Shabbat. If there's someone you are thinking of who's in need of healing, of mind, of body, or of spirit, in the sanctuary, I'll invite you to rise that we may hear their names aloud. On Zoom, I'll invite you to please write their names in the chat so we may hold them in our thoughts on this Shabbat. We hold all of these folks in our thoughts as together we turn to page 371 for the words of Misha Berach as we offer them this prayer of healing.
Misha Berach Yavo
a source of strength, who bless the ones before us. Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishebeirach imotenu mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Also wanted to add the name of Larry Gerber, which I admitted at the beginning of our prayer. We wish him a refuah shlema. And we turn also at this moment to our Shehechianu as we celebrate our joys in community as well. If there's anyone who's celebrating a God-given simcha, a God-given moment of joy in this past week, a birthday, an anniversary, a big occasion, anybody in the sanctuary? On Zoom, I hope you're typing busily in the chat.
I think someone's got a birthday over here, maybe?
A birthday? Not a birthday? Someone's birthday? Someone had a birthday at some point. Excellent. I love it. Coming up. Okay, an advance happy birthday. Very good. Got a Mazal Tov. Mazal Tov, that's a big moment. Beautiful. Other moments in the sanctuary we can lift up and celebrate. Beautiful. On Zoom, I hope we're hearing a couple of exciting moments. A big birthday coming up for Carol Klingon. Very nice. Happy birthday. Happy birthday, Carol. Beautiful. And all of us, and Asher Novisky's birthday as well.
I didn't know if you wanted me to say it. I didn't know. Okay.
Beautiful. So some Mazal Tovs are in order there. And to all of us, as we are on the threshold of this coming year, that we have made it through 2022. Thank God. And here we are approaching 2023. That, I think, my friends, is a Shehechianu moment. So let's all join in together. The words are on page 648. 648.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shehechianu v'kimanu v'hegianu lazman hazeh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, melech haolam, shehechianu v'kiman v'hegianu lazman hazeh. We say together, Amen.
A few lighthearted words, I think, are appropriate for this, what I am calling Erev New Year's Eve. So I am a big fan of starting new traditions and creating new rituals. And last year on Shabbat New Year's Eve, 2021, I created a top 10 Jewish list for the year. I enjoyed this practice so much that I thought I would do it again. So now, with it being the second annual, I guess it's a tradition. As you are probably aware, there are many traditions of making a top 10 list or a year in review list when the secular year comes to an end. I'm not really sure where the tradition comes from, but in thinking about it, I've come to the conclusion that it is a rather Jewish ritual. Before I reveal my top 10 Jews of 22, let's review why the practice of making a list is a powerful Jewish spiritual tool. Of course, for the reader or the listener, there is a great deal of fun and suspense in waiting to hear who made the list, who is in, who is out. But I actually think the practice of making a top 10 list, or any number list, is really a practice for the list maker. First of all, list making is an opportunity to develop our own narrative. When we put something on a list or leave it out, we have the power to frame the story according to our own viewpoint. What is most important? What do we want to lift up? God, of course, had to know this discipline before speaking the 10 Commandments to Moses, anticipating that Moses would return down the mountain to share these most important laws that would certainly change the world and even history in that very moment. List making is also an exercise in mindfulness. It's the spiritual discipline of stopping to think or stopping to take notice. It's reflective in nature, for it's not simply the practice of what comes to mind first, but thinking back and evaluating. What were the highs and the lows? What were the roses and the thorns? This practice is a way to organize our thoughts and to make meaning out of our own experience. Psychologists even recommend list making to reduce anxiety, to make order out of chaos, to slow down our thoughts, and to prioritize. Finally, list making is a practice in gratitude. In the middle of this week's parashah, Vayigash, from Genesis chapter 46, we find the common words, Ve'ele shemot b'nei Yisrael. And these are the names of the children of Israel. Here, referencing the ones who came to Egypt with Jacob. The passage lists 70 individuals by name. The commentator Seforno asks why, and he teaches, recounting a list emphasizes the miracle of every single person included. All are righteous, but those who are listed deserve extra attention or gratitude. If you've ever kept a gratitude or a blessing journal, you've probably run across a challenge. When sitting down to recount or make a list of everything for which you are grateful, it's often the bottom 10 list that come to mind first. When I sat down this week to think of the best of 2022, you know what came to my mind first? Nope, not the highlights, but rather the lows. Number one, of course, the ongoing war in Ukraine. Number two, the continued violence and targeting of Jewish communities, like the hostage situation early this year at Congregation Beth Israel in Colleyville, Texas. Number three, everything Kanye West has said over the last several months and all the anti-Semitic rhetoric that feels pervasive in our world. Number four, the Wellesley College newspaper's support of the mapping project. Number five, the disruption of life and continued fear over contracting COVID, the flu, or RSV. And number six, of course, 2022 was another year of supply chain shortages. This year, the shortage took hold of not only important prescription drugs, children's medicine, baby formula, but chickpeas. Of all things, for heaven's sake, fewer chickpeas means less hummus, which of course is bad for the Jews. And I could go on with these lows. See, here I was in the middle of making my gratitude list, and I got stuck in the weeds of the lowlights. It really is hard to make a highlight list. This week, I actually had to do a lot of reading, researching, and flipping through news stories and pictures to jog my memory and bring up all the good stuff. I did find it to be worth the effort to work on this reflective exercise. It felt really good to end this year with praise and thanksgiving for all the blessings that the Jewish community has experienced this year. Gratitude is sometimes hard to express, but so important. And gratitude for Jewish triumph is also a proud antidote to anti-Semitism. I will admit it was much easier when doing this exercise together with others, so I will start with thanks and a shout out to my friends who are way more in the pop culture know than I am. So here we go for the top Jews of 22. Number 10. Vladimir Zelensky was named Time Magazine's Person of the Year. He has become the legendary president of Ukraine, earning him comparisons to Winston Churchill for his wartime toughness and courage. Number 9. Nobel Prizes were awarded to Jews in 2 categories this year. One in economics to Ben Bernanke and Douglas Diamond for their research on banks and financial crises. And number 2 in physiology to Professor David J. Julius for his work on the molecular mechanisms of pain sensation and heat. Number 8 in the music world. The Queen of Christmas, Mariah Carey, wished everyone a happy Hanukkah on Instagram. So she shall now be called the heroine of Hanukkah. For her 80th birthday, Barbra Streisand decided to give all of us a present. Digging into the vault, Streisand and Columbia Records released what was originally meant to be her first album, recorded 60 years ago, live recordings from the Greenwich Village club, the Bonsoir. Israeli pop sensation Noah Carell was chosen to represent Israel for Eurovision 2023, and Atlantic Records signed her to a record contract this year, as she was listed as People magazine's most talented emerging artist. This is an Israeli pop star. Big deal. Number 7, Jews on TV, and there were a lot to choose from in this category, so sorry, I have a few. But in February, Brett Goldstein had the best day ever when he got to record, this is the Ted Lasso star, when he got to record an episode of Sesame Street, fulfilling a lifelong dream of his work to work with the Muppets. Brett hung out with Oscar the Grouch and taught Sesame Street the F word. Fairness, people, fairness. In November, Amy Schumer hosted Saturday Night Live, and in response to all the anti-Semitism overwhelming American pop culture, she took a major dig at Kanye West in her monologue. She starred in a sketch about matzo ball soup and wore a shirt that said, "Love Jews." While comedian Dave Chappelle would host the next week and bring his own anti-Semitism to the show, Amy's message remains meaningful, loud, and clear. And finally, in this category, a new Hallmark movie, Hanukkah on Rye. Anyone see it? Wow, I'm surprised. Hanukkah on Rye came out this December. Yes, this movie is about a Jewish deli, actually 2 Jewish delis. Kveller writes about it. This movie also stars Jewish mama Lisa Loeb, who could make us stay through even the cheesiest of Hallmark movies. Number 6 on the big screen. Coda, a film starring deaf Jewish actress Marlee Matlin, won the Oscar for Best Picture. Number 5, Jews in sports, and I am surprised every year that this category grows in number. College basketball star Ryan Terrell, who was Yeshiva University's class star of 2022, led the nation in scoring and then declared for the NBA draft. While he went unselected, he did make his G League debut for the Detroit Pistons and still hopes one day to be the first kippah-wearing Jew on the NBA basketball court. Matt Turner became the starting goalkeeper for the USA World Cup soccer team. Alex Bregman earned his 2nd World Series ring, and tennis player Taylor Fritz, who I was actually watching last night, became top 10 in the world. And of course, I must mention a highlight from Temple Beth Elohim's Holy Schvitz workout group, which was that Peloton debuted its first official Hanukkah ride. Big deal. Number 4, yes, got it in there. Historically speaking, number 4, March 2022 marked the 100-year anniversary of the first bat mitzvah, Judith Kaplan. She was the daughter of Rabbi Mordechai Kaplan. And this Hanukkah, the White House added its first ever menorah to its permanent collection. Crafted by the White House carpenters, it incorporates wood from the original foundations of the White House. President Biden introduced it, saying, "Its beauty reminds us of the Hanukkah miracle and the joy it inspired. From this day forward, this menorah is a permanent piece of the people's house." Number 3, when it comes to Jewish heroes and role models, my friend and colleague, Rabbi Charlie Citron Walker, held off a gunman in his Texas synagogue for 11 hours, throwing a chair so he and 3 of his congregants could safely escape. And after 8 months of delays and contentious hearings, the U.S. Senate confirmed Madame Ambassador Deborah Lipstadt, the renowned Holocaust historian, as the State Department's envoy to combat and monitor anti-Semitism. She is the first person to serve in this role. Number 2, in March, Israel allowed tour guides to go back to work after a 2-year COVID hiatus. And the TBE Bima, if you remember, was filled on the High Holy Days with community members traveling to Israel again. And number one, our beloved Temple Beth Elohim made it possible for us to gather in community this year, whether it was virtually or here in person. So many of this year's joys were spent right here with all of you. So when it comes to a year in review list or the tablets of the commandments, it's common practice to stop counting after 10, as I just did. But the truth is, according to our tradition, our blessings are limitless. And when we come together in community to share them, our blessings increase tenfold. And so I'd like to end with our prayer of gratitude from the Amidah. That is a short list of gratitude, and is even more meaningful when we are able to share it in a prayer quorum of more than 10. Modim anachnu lach, we thank you, God, rock of our lives, shield of our salvation. We thank you and tell of your praises regarding our lives, which are in your hands, regarding our souls, which are entrusted to you, regarding your miracles, which are with us every day, and regarding your wonders and favors, which are with us every moment, evening, morning, and afternoon. You are good, for your compassion is never ending. You are compassionate, for your kindness never ceases. Ki me'olam kivinu lach, from the beginning of time we have put our hope in you. And so on this last Shabbat of 2022, we thank you for this year's many blessings. And a year from now, when we repeat this new Jewish Top 10 tradition, may we have even more blessings to count. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may this be God's will.
Ken Yehi Ratzon. May it be God's will indeed. Thank you, Rabbi Sapphire. I am incredibly grateful to you. You are a blessing to us.
Thank you.
Before we turn towards the conclusion of our service, inspired by Rabbi Sapphire's practice of making lists, a list of things that you should put on your calendar for the new year to attend. Number 1. A conversation between Rabbi Sissenwein and Professor Jonathan Sarna on Thursday, January 5th at 7:30 p.m. This is a great opportunity to learn from one of the top scholars in Jewish studies who is also local. And so this will be hybrid here and on Zoom. Number 2. Next Friday evening, our service will feature Karen Tabb, our congregant and artist who has installed this incredible sculpture outside. I think we'll get to hear a little bit more about that next week. And number 3, another opportunity to join for a Bonim Shalom workshop on Wednesday, January 11th. If you haven't had an opportunity to participate yet, please do so.
And I've been advised to tell you that this Wednesday's or 2 Wednesdays from now Bonim Shalom workshop includes dinner. If you want to
That's
come
important.
out, talk about the future, eat some food now, everything is beautiful. Talk to Allison.
So we're gonna
speaking
end our
of
list on 3.
food, Cantor and Rabbi, can I share? Oren was sitting back here making a top 10 list of things that he likes to eat. We have pizza, mac and cheese, hot dogs, hamburgers.
matzo ball soup, chocolate, gummy bears, donuts, and crackers.
So it's never too late. Oh, he skipped one.
Can I
PB&J.
add one to your list? Can I add one?
Yeah.
I want to add biscuits to your list.
After our trip. Yeah.
So beautiful. So a practice that we can all take on this this beautiful Shabbat, an opportunity for practicing some gratitude together. So we continue. Sorry, were you saying something?
No, I'm saying
You're
we
good?
turn now to
Oh,
page
okay.
586 and we rise for the Aleinu. עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
At this time, we turn to a moment of legacy, of honoring the memories of those who are no longer with us. If this is a week in which you are observing a yahrzeit, remembering the anniversary of a loved one's death, or if you are observing a more recent period of mourning, of Shiva, of Shloshim, or Shana, I'll invite you here in the sanctuary to rise so that we may hear you speak their name aloud. And on Zoom, I'll invite you to write their name in the chat so that we may hold their memories in our hearts together. And before we come around to collect names, I've also been asked to read the names of Selma Roberts, Dorothy Herscott, and Clint Zolkind. We rise in support of the mourners in our midst as they lead us in the words of Kaddish Yatom of Mourner's Kaddish on page 598. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah,
Amen.
be'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru Amen.
Amen.
Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam ulamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shmei D'Kudasha B'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechamata. Da'amiran be'alma v'imru Amen. Yehei Shlama Rabbah min Shemaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen.
Amen.
Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen.
Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
If it's comfortable for you to remain standing, I'll invite you to do so as we turn to page 625 for Adon Olam.
There is a tradition of cantors having a little fun with Adon Olam, especially when different holidays intersperse with different holidays. So I invite you to sing along with me. If you don't know any of these words on page 625, you can definitely join us. I have to get the melody in my head. Lai, 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 lai. The words are going to be a little tricky. Adon Olam does fit, but you're going to have to follow me. You ready? Page 625 if you don't know it. Adon Olam Asher bar beterem kol yetzir nivra le'nasa v'chefzo azai melech shemo nikra. You got it? ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא לא והוא יהיה בתפארה והוא אחד ואין להמשילו להכבירה בלי ראשית בלי תא ולא העוז והמשרה והוא אלי וחי גוהר וצור חבלי לצרה והוא ניסי ומנוס מנת כוזי ביום מקרא. Last verse. בידו אף כדרו בעת ישן והעירה ועם רוחי יביאה אדוני לי ולא יירא.
So let's conclude with blessings over our challah and our juice. Before we do, thank you, Ezra, for lending your beautiful music to services tonight. All right, Julie, you want to join us? Yes. Let us do Kiddush first. Actually, we're going to pass that over to your beautiful voice to lead us in Kiddush, and then Julie and I will help with Motzi. All right, on Zoom, let's see that Kiddush cup nice and high.
Baruch atah Adonai
Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu. זיכרון למעשה בראשית, כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר לציון ממצרים. כי בנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים. ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. Raise it nice and high.
Baruch atah Adonai
מקדש HaShabbat. I just have to show everyone, our custodians have a really good sense of humor. It is a New Year's challah. That's pretty amazing. Around challah. All right, Julie, here we go. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Shabbat shalom. Come up and take a bite, anyone, if you would like. We'll wish the rest of you a big Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Lai, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom. Take a solo, you got it. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom. Amen. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Beautiful. That was awesome, Esther. Thank you so much. Such a pleasure.
That was great.
That was so much fun.
So much fun.
Thank you for letting me.
I miss you guys.
Oh yeah.
Why? Like I know, like this is school vacations really throwing me off here.
I honestly, I'm like out. I was like, what is this Iris? What's going on? Holly, how are you doing?
Did you meet Ezra's sister? My sister Rebecca.
She lives in Syracuse. Where my parents live. Yeah.
Your family and extended clan.
I think it's Daddy's.
And I know these guys.
No, that's not.
Whether they're Houseman, Cohen's, Grossman.
I don't know. You can pick it up and play with it to figure out whose it belongs